Hey, this is Ksenia, and you're watching Mo1 video on YouTube.
And today we're going to talk vlogging settings, specifically for the Panasonic Lumix S5 and the Sony A7S3. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. So here we have the Panasonic S5. Now I've attached the vlogging lenses I've used to both camera bodies. As you can see here, this is the 20-60 f3.5 to 5.6. Now as far as any alternatives go for the S5, I can't think of any off the top of my head, at least ones that are native. And when you're vlogging, you naturally want to have the best autofocus you can. So I recommend using this lens. It came with the camera body. It's a pretty versatile lens. I mean, autofocus aside, it's a pretty solid, lightweight lens because weight is another thing about vlogging. If you're going to be doing any vlogging that involves walking around, any traveling, you do want to have a lighter setup for vlogging. Now moving on to the A7S3. Now with the A7S3, you do have a few alternatives to the vlogging lens that I recommend. My personal favorite is the 20mm f1.8. The reason being, it's lightweight, it's sharp, and it's versatile. You can use this not only with vlogging, but also architecture and real estate. Another lens that you could use feasibly, although I would recommend against it, just because of the weight, also the size, would be the 14mm G Master that just came out for the Sony. So between these two camera setups, these are the lenses I recommend: the 20mm f1.8 for the Sony, as we just talked about, and the 20-60mm f3.5 to 5.6 for the Panasonic S5. Now on to settings. These are the settings I recommend for both the S5 and the A7S3. A few caveats I want to mention as well while I have these settings here is for the A7S3, if you're using something like the Rode Wireless Go 2, there is a bit of a catch to the audio. You want to ideally have your A7S3 set to recording volume at 3. Not 0 like you might think, but 3. This is due to the artificial clipping that occurs within the A7S3 body. And I believe this affects the Alpha 1 as well. So whenever you're doing any kind of wireless recording and you want the best quality audio, I recommend 3 on the A7S3 and then -3 on something like the Rode Wireless Go 2. It'll make all the difference in the world when you listen to it in playback. Now for stabilization, I recommend using Catalyst Browse if you have it. And I would set your steady shot to off on the A7S3. I've gotten incredible stabilization from leaving the steady shot off, filming, and then loading the footage into Catalyst Browse and looking at it later. As a matter of fact, some of my favorite vlog shots have occurred that way. Now for the Panasonic S5, there isn't a Catalyst Browse equivalent. However, the IBIS usually is a bit more effective than the steady shot on the A7S3. So I recommend using IBIS within the camera itself on the S5 to get the best steady shots. As far as picture profiles go, for the A7S3, I recommend Cinetone. For the Panasonic S5, there's a little bit more subjectivity involved. For me, I like Cin D2. Both those picture profiles I mentioned for the A7S3 and the S5 are out of the box. So you don't need to do any log grading or anything like that. That's why I selected those picture profiles, because once you're finished recording, barring any color correction, you're pretty much finished with the end picture. And I'm trying to reduce the workflow as much as possible when I'm vlogging. Now, as far as the mini tripod I would recommend, I'm going to put a link in the description below to 2 mini tripods I've worked with that I like, that I do recommend. And what I look for in mini tripods is I want it to have a nice reach so I can have that higher end look with vlogs. I know vlogging is vlogging, but at the end of the day, I do want to separate my face from the background a little bit. And with these 2 mini tripods I linked in the description below, those 2 are the ones I think are the best to have a good reach, also are conservative in weight. And from a size standpoint, both these mini tripods are travel friendly. So hopefully this information makes your life a little bit easier when it comes to vlogging on the S5 or the A7S3. And if it does make your life easier, give a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know what you think, follow on Instagram @MuonVideo, and I will see you in the next one.